Right, for a reaction on the report, we're joined now by Economic Freedom Fighters Gauteng spokesperson, Dumisani Baleni. Dumisani, good to have you, and thank you very much for your time. The Democratic Alliance are saying this was a bad use of 360,000 rands, in fact, a waste of resources. How do you feel as the EFF?
Well, greetings, Bratawo, and greetings to the viewers. In our statement as the Economic Freedom Fighters, we do characterize the Democratic Alliance as an institution that protects racism, that wants to preserve racism. That is why they would find this as a wasteful exercise. And we are not surprised. But also, we need to be very cautious in the sense that this is the second investigation on the very same school by the Department of Education in Gauteng, and there's not been, in the first one there was no decisive action that was taken, and even now we're much more concerned that there might be no decisive action, considering the fact that the principal now has been reinstated when there are factual findings of an independent investigation against him. So as the Economic Freedom Fighters, we denounce the DA. We don't think it is a good institution to rely on when it comes to matters of racism, because they've made it clear where they stand when it comes to it. But we are very much concerned about the Department of Education in Gauteng, that they have a cosmetic approach when it comes to racism, and we reject that. There must be decisive action.
What about the calls that the lawyers did not adhere to terms of reference? In other words, what they were supposed to look at, and they went over and above in their investigations?
In fact, if the Democratic Alliance says that, we would even question it even more. In fact, the terms of reference that were placed around the investigation were very narrow, according to our views as Economic Freedom Fighters. It should have been wide, should have been looked into the school as the culture of the school, but also we think they should also extend to other institutions, other schools that have been involved or implicated or been in the saga of racism, such that you don't look at the Pretoria Girls High only. You look at the culture of the predominantly white schools in Gauteng, and you would see and you would uncover that there is institutionalized racism. So we reject what the DA is saying. We know that the DA wants to protect racism. That is why the DA, even before the report, they were calling for the reinstatement of the principal. Even without the findings in the report, they had already made their stand, that they stand with the principal, regardless of the allegations against him. And the DA has not even come up and said anything about all the incidents of racism that take place in schools. Instead, they've always proven that they stand on the side of those that are implicated in this matter.
Well, they feel the principal would have been exonerated with a reinstatement, and they vouch for the leadership of the principal. Do you see an outcome where the principal might receive some kind of light sanction while they remain in that position?
Well, that is what we feel as the Economic Freedom Fighters now. This reinstatement actually proves the fact that the Department of Basic Education in Gauteng has a cosmetic, superficial approach on racism. They don't think there should be consequences. They don't want to attach consequences. And for as long as we don't attach decisive consequences on racism, I can tell you, we're going to deal with this story again. We dealt with this story in 2016. We dealt with this the very same issue in 2020, and then we dealt with it in 2023. Then we dealt with it this year. As to why does the DA not see that there is a problem of racism in that institution and it has to be addressed? One will have to look at the DA and the campaigns they've ran and their political posture when it comes to cases of racism. They are completely unapologetic. They are apologists of racism, and that is what must be dealt with. That is why we cannot rely on the DA as an institution that can comment objectively about racism, that is very clear about uprooting institutionalized racism in the country.
So there have been calls for the SGB chair certainly to be removed as per the rules. You support that?
We do support that, Bratabo, and we call as the economic freedom fighters on the base department and the government to not look into the SGBs and the governing structures of just one school. These allegations and these incidents keep on popping up. You would know that in the registration period, you're going to have schools like your DF Malan and other schools where it looks like black learners are excluded from school. They use the school's academic processes to deal with certain people of a certain color. And therefore, it shouldn't just end at the SGB of Pretoria Girls High. There must be a proper decisive transformation in the schools in Gauteng and across the country. And we think the first step should be dealing with the SGB, dealing with the acting principal, dealing with the principal, removing those people that were unlawfully appointed, your finance manager and the estate manager, so that you use it as a deterrent for those that would think they can engage in activities of racism and they would get away with it.
So others would say the Bella Act is an attempt at doing that, at least recognizing more the power of the HOD and that of the Premier. However, some of those have been kept in abeyance by the President, have not yet been signed into law as part of the rest of the Act.
Exactly. This is the attitude of the ANC, that they, all the time, they have to take a decisive step. Something happens with the ANC that they compromise on decisive steps. And the Bella Bill was a product of long consultation. When it has to be passed, because of their relationship with the DA, their alliance with the DA, they decide to compromise two most critical clauses in the Bella Bill that actually address the issues of institutionalized racism, addresses the issues of the conduct, code of conduct, addresses the issues of admission in the schools. And the recapitulation by the ANC proves that the African National Congress is not the right vehicle to deliver black people when it comes to this call. The ANC is the same as the DA. They are apologists when it comes to racism. And that is what we find problematic as the economic freedom fighters.